Hey, how are you doing? Shit's popping off, and I'm here with the one and only Max Cowboy Lagarde. Max, how are you doing, man?
Doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. Can't really complain. How are your holidays?
Pretty good. Still recovering from New Year's, but that's to be expected. Yourself?
I had a crazy New Year's, man. I think I'm still feeling it as well. Yeah, I drank too much. I don't drink normally, but I went pretty hard on New Year's this year.
Nice. Good times.
I guess. Go ahead.
I said, guessing it was good times.
It was good times. Good what is it called? Liberations, liber.
Libations.
Yeah, good those. That was really
Mhm.
good. Um, Tell us about young Max, man. Where are you from? What did you grow up doing?
Well, I am in the great state of Rhode Island. A little small guy. Uh, been here for most of my life. Left when I was 17, traveled around for a bit, came back when I was in my late 20s, and I'm still here. So that's how I ended up getting roped into all this madness. Just right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah, we know that you're a big fan of techno music. You do a lot of the techno music, like you performed in Las Vegas on your Instagram. There's a lot of posts about techno music and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Background?
absolutely. So, got into the music scene like 10 years ago as a goer. Found techno as my genre and just kind of ran with it. As far as like performance stuff, that's kind of a secondary.
Mhm.
One of my gigs I do is I work in production, so own like a festival rig. So I basically put on festivals and shows and do all of like the behind the scenes stuff. So mainly I'm like in the industry, and DJing is just something I do for fun as well as music production, but uh, mostly festival work.
Yeah, I have a good friend of mine. He films. He does film for Ultra, and he travels all around the world. He films like all the Ultra stuff and like edits it down for like commercials and things like that. Who are some of your favorite like artists in the electric music industry, EDM?
Oliver Heldens slash Hilo. He's like a good all around. Uh, 9 times 9, if you know them. Some
Mhm.
hard techno stuff, which is more my genre. But
More like the harder, not like Gabber though, right? I can't
no,
stand. No.
no, 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 no.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
range
more
from like
like a Florida breaks. That's my kind. Florida sound stuff like that.
yeah, I like melodic techno. So I'm going to see Anima in the Sphere tomorrow
Okay,
or maybe the next day, and then from everything from melodic to the harder like Berkheim, Berlin hard techno, and everything in between.
nice. Um, how did Max get involved with MDE? Can we know a little bit about that?
That's a good one. One day I was at the gym, as one does, and this really big homeless looking dude walked in. I was like, who the fuck is that? It's like some guy, he's wearing like opened up Tims, not tied up at all. Actually, no, they were like combat boots. Baggy sweatpants, one pant rolled up. Looked like just rough around the edges, had a hat, wild hair, glasses that were broken and were like put together with tape. And I'm like, oh, that guy must be lost. I don't know what he's doing here. I went back to working out. And then sure enough, he's walking around and kind of working around out around each other. And dude comes over and he's like, "Hey, you look pretty fit." And this is when I was probably like 20 pounds heavier, like more lifting in shape. And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you want to be my personal trainer?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. Like,
Mhm.
why are you talking to me? Like, leave me alone." And he's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "I'm here for the same reason you're here, man. I'm just trying to work out and escape reality." And he's like, "Ah, cool. Well, maybe we'll work together one day." I'm like, "Yeah, sure thing." And so I went back to working out, and ends up that's ended up being Sam Hyde, and didn't know that. Worked out around the guy for a couple months. Slowly started like becoming more comfortable around him. Like just like crack jokes, that kind of stuff. And a buddy of mine ended up being his trainer and invited me to help on a project he was doing for Sam. I was building some Russian tire punching bag in his backyard, and Sam comes out and he's like, "Oh, it's you." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this is for you." And he's like, "What else can you do?" I'm like, "Anything." And he's like, "That's pretty cool." And so built this podcast studio and kept doing work for him here and there. Went on to work on the World Peace 2 project, Fishtank, and a litany of other things, but just right place, right time, I guess.
Would this have been like probably like what, like 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, about that. Time is a flat circle to me, man. So that makes sense.
So right. Now on the actual show, you're credited as a production designer. So can you explain to the fans out there a little bit what exactly that entails?
Uh, that was a random thing that Steinfeld put next to my name in the credits. So I imagine that means that I do set design and a lot of the creative touches that you see on Fishtank.
Okay.
Which
So
is,
what do you actually do then?
do you want to hear it from the top
I do,
of like
yeah.
how it all started and
Break it
how I
down.
got in? I was in the office one day and Sam had asked Jet, he's like, "Hey man, what do you want to do?" And Jet was just like, "Fishtank." And I'm just like in there, like swinging a hammer, just doing like random work. And I ended up getting cued in the conversation. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to do this project. Do you want to be involved?" And I'm like, "Sure." And it was in like the kind of like the beginning stages of how do we do this? We have the great idea, but how? And so I was like, "Oh, I could probably help with that." And so I'm like, "Let me ask some friends and we'll see what happens." And I will preface the magic of Fishtank is an incredible network of people from all over that work on this project. Like we've got Wes in Finland, we've got my buddy PJ who had all the cameras just in a warehouse. We ended up using all of them. Season one house was this guy TJ that I ended up building a nightclub for. I basically gave him a bag of money for season one. I'm like, "I need your house." And he's like, "How long and when?" I'm like, "Can it be out tonight?" And he's like, "This is like a couple of days before Christmas." And he's like, "How much money's in that bag?" I'm like, "Enough to be out for tonight." And he's like, "Okay." So season one house is a friend's house that we absolutely destroyed. And it all just came together with me and a couple friends taping wires to the walls and putting cameras up and basically setting up the entire array for TTS and all of the tech, getting everything ready on the hard points, and then pushing the back end stuff to Wes. And Wes tied in all of our work on the front end. And Fishtank just became a thing overnight or over the course of like 2.5 weeks. Like it was a wild project. Jet ended up being like super involved in season one, putting like all of his like crew of degenerates to work, filming the windows and moving furniture and did non-stop trips to IKEA, even though all that furniture that was broken in season one was actually Italian. Like it's what IKEA is based off of. It was actually really expensive shit that we thought was IKEA. And then after Frank destroyed most of the house, and I was like sourcing the stuff to fix, everything costed like thousands of dollars and
You
not like
found
hundreds
out
of dollars.
it's like a Natuzzi leather couch that they've been pouring milk all over and stuff.
Yeah, that was literally, it was a nightmare. I'm like, "Oh, we don't need to move this stuff out. We'll just break it and give him new stuff. It'll be doing him a favor. This stuff's trash." Spoiler alert, it was expensive trash. So yeah, man. As far as what I do for Fishtank, it's at the start it was basically all of the tech and front end stuff. And then over the course of a couple seasons, like I've brought in friends, like you've seen him, I'm not gonna name him, but the Dr. Disrespect guy. He's actually a
Doctor
guy working for
Disrespect.
production. Yeah, he's a personal friend of mine, and
Yeah, I was
he is
actually
just
gonna ask you, is he a general contractor? Because it seems like when he's on, you ask him a lot of questions about like damages to the house. Does he have like a background in that kind of sort of stuff, or is it all a bit?
he's a brilliant freaking dude, jack of all trades. I would yield to him for any like construction, contracting stuff, but he's not a general contractor. He just owns a home and he works for a production company, and he's basically like the designer for all kinds of cool, elaborate, like wild technical production stuff. And it just spills over into home stuff, which is just super easy for him. So
Nice.
he's my go-to for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've got him. We ended up bringing on this guy Rich for a bit. Really bright mind. Helped with a bunch of stuff in season 2. Then we brought Majok in for season 2.5, and he's taken over like a brunt of like the crazy on-site tech stuff that I don't have like the time for. He's like in there like soldering and doing all kinds of like tinkering. The man like not only lives there, so he's there 24/7. He's helped out so much. So like we've just been able to like increase production content like tenfold with him around. So the role evolved from like lead tech guy to then now I do a little bit of everything and dip my fingers and toes into everything in his fish tank.
If you could do one specific thing for Fishtank, what would you want to do?
One thing. Damn. Well, that one thing wouldn't be being in front of the camera. Being my current character was a byproduct of just needing to fix shit. So definitely not that. But probably building elaborate and wild and just pushing the continually making it so that fish tank is relevant and is pushing the envelope of what's possible for this genre, to be totally honest. So just design work, I think.
Did you have a hand in the construction of Blood Games?
I did. I can't take credit for a lot of the things that you saw that made up like all of like the Jet and friends were out there every single day in the heat, like putting all that cover up and painting burlap and doing all kinds of wild stuff. I was more on the side of we set up an elaborate 5G network through the entire woods using repeaters and mesh network and fiber and yada yada tech stuff. So we weren't using like just phones. There was a Wi-Fi network in the entire 37-acre plot that we were running Blood Games off of. So it was crazy to be out there, like climbing trees, hanging repeaters, and all kinds of stuff, and making it weatherproof because it was all indoor rated stuff because we couldn't get the outdoor rated stuff in time. Just keeping the show like I was making sure the lights turned on. But I did build the tower and I built campsite. So those are my only 2 real like big landmark pieces. But I had a lot of fun building camp.
I really enjoyed Blood Games. I felt there were definitely areas of the land or where cameras were set up that were never used at all. Now I don't know if that's due to connection issues or if that was just due to the people like essentially role playing and not going to those places. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of some of the other camera angles that were never really used during Blood Games.
I had mentioned it in the investor stream, and it was the effects of being outside, just like on general people, like especially our, cast. They wanted to be as close as they could to shitty and like where production was. They didn't want to be in the woods. They would like any chance they got to like be where they could like see us or people, like they jumped to that opportunity. So a lot of like the map, the further portions of it were wasted because we just physically couldn't get them out there. They're like just not interested in playing ball.
Oh yeah.
And also the downs was in someone's backyard basically, so it wasn't a good idea to be back there for noise reasons.
Will we be seeing a season 3.5 or a continuation of Blood Games this summer?
I can't confirm or deny that. Just know there's a lot of really incredible things in the works for that. That is a passion project for everyone, from Sam to Jet to me. Like we loved working on Blood Games. It's probably the most fun that we've had working on in the entire time. It wasn't like the best gangbuster, like it wasn't Fishtank, but it was a really cool side flip to it. that allowed us all to just be creative and just have fun. Like that's what we were doing out there. Everyone was having fun every day, and it was a nice change from being in the doomer house that is Fishtank sometimes.
Mm.
So don't I would say yes, there will be something, but I can't give you a timeline on it.
All right, no worries. One of the things I wanted to know is the season 2 house. Lots of issues. Start of season 2, opening camera was Josie running buckets of water out of production and then throwing them out the front door. Was how did you guys handle the flooding throughout the whole season of season 2?
So that wasn't flooding. That was a
Mm.
septic pipe bursting
Oh.
and pouring raw septic into the basement right at our main comm station, like where everything was ingesting. We were there, lights about to turn on, and I looked down and there's a puddle coming out from under where Jet's computer is, and I was like, who the fuck spilled something over here? Because I'm like usually the adult on duty. I'm like, which one of you fucking mooks did this? And then they're like, bro, what is this? And he gets up and they go, oh, it smells. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And we like look, and there's just this cast iron pipe that's just sheared, like completely, like cylindrically in half, and then fell into itself. So only the bottom is open, and it's just pouring water out like a cracked egg. And we're like, what the fuck? And then the septic and sewage started coming out, and we're like, oh. So we would just put a bucket underneath it, and it had to keep running it out. And the reason that happened was because there was flooding in the area, and the septic system had a rupture in it, and that filled up with water. So then that back pressured the septic and pushed the septic up into the house because of the water table. So the flooding was all through the septic system at the start, and it's crazy. We ended up getting a buddy of mine. I'll call him let's call him Matt for a better. I still want to dox him.
Okay.
And the plumber that you saw, he was down there. We put some like coupling on it and like a band-aid fix, but then it broke in another spot. And then the entire basement started flooding from just the water table being out of control. And we had like the rainiest season, but it was honestly just a bunch of dudes of shop vacs that you probably heard in the cameras, towels, some
I
of the
remember.
wardrobe actually.
I think Jet posted like a thing on Instagram, and they were like shop vacuuming production.
Shirtless dudes.
Like it was like, yeah, well, everybody was shirtless. It was probably like 30 degrees in there. It looked freezing cold. They're all like in the water.
That's my video. I came down the stairs because they're like, bro, it's flooding. And I'm like, no, you got to be kidding me. They're like, no, it's bad. You got to get here. So whatever asinine time it was in the morning, I like got out of bed and like I work a day job. So this is just a passion project for me. I can't be there 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And so I come down and I'm just like, this is something else. They're all shirtless. Can tell they've been like covered in water, just shop vacuuming. And I brought them another shop vac. We had 3 vacuums running. Josie was like putting her hand on the wall because there was just like a spot in the concrete. There's a spout, and she basically had her finger in it to stop from spraying water out. It was biblical, dude. It was we were cursed for sure on the start of that one.
Was there multiple plumbing issues? Because I remember there was another time during season 2. I want to say people were saying on the website that like Jimmy had flushed sand down the pipes or something, and there was a lot of like hustle and bustling like in the attic behind where obviously where like the confessional was in the attic. There were people coming in and out from behind there and talking about an exploded pipe. So you just the whole season 2 was plumbing issues for the most part.
Season 2 is plumbing issues. That was actually we had to replace the toilet because of stuff they flushed down there. Like it destroyed the entire toilet. So that's why I threw the toilet out the window. If that clip ever made it to the internet, and why we smashed it with a hammer. But there was a pipe that was like an exhaust pipe for one of the I don't even know. I think it was a boiler or something, and that just had a bad seal. It was the flashing on the roof had just corroded and was just pouring water down that, which then poured water into the kitchen. It was just normal stuff. But season 1 did have plumbing issues as well. If you guys remember when we actually had the camping experience, do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I flushed a snake down the toilet. I think I heard right. Someone flushed. I don't know. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened, and that actually saved us because the plumber came there with like a snake and looked down in the back of the toilet and realized that the water was, instead of going down into the sewer, it ended up having an issue. It was a new construction. The ground settled and reversed the polarity, so the sewer was actually backfilling into the house, and we were a couple flushes away from the water basically filling up enough where it would just backfill and just start dumping water like sewer into the basement. So we had to just flush no more toilets, no more water, and they had to do an emergency excavation of the front lawn and like dig up the pipes and like redo everything. And that's why we didn't have water in the house for a couple of days, was because of that. And that's why we had the porta potty. Like that was all just because shit had hit the fan, literally.
The camping challenge. Seems like there's a lot of plumbing issues now that I think about it going on. It's like every show, every season seems crazy. It's crazy. I've never had, believe it or not, like I'm a big guy, right? And I've never had plumbing issues. I don't understand how people can have so many plumbing issues. Has the show ever faced like any sort of like zoning issues or anything like that? With it being recorded usually like in a residential area?
Every season we have the town try to shut us down at least twice, due to just callers for swatting and people disrupting town hall meetings, which is pretty funny. But yeah, no, like that's just a constant battle. Nothing remarkable has happened. It's like a reoccurring. Yes, we have zoning issues every year. That's not why we move locations. To answer that question.
Okay, so that's not why locations were moved this season.
This season was a couple things. I can't really get too deep into it, but we gave Bert a Vegas vacation, and the feeling that everyone probably felt towards the end of while we were in that house was pretty grim and rough, and you just needed to have a refresh. And Sam had the idea to take Fishtank on the road, and we just had the incredible opportunity to just, everyone had time, and we just got an RV and sent it. So it was just like a bunch of really irrational ideas all coming together, and sure enough, we were on the road. But there was a zoning thing going on, but that wasn't the cause.
Okay. I enjoyed the last quarter of Fishtank, right? I thought it was good, and it was pretty cool to get out on the road, see what you guys could do with the limited amount of equipment that you guys had to take with you. Obviously, it was scuffed, but I think that kind of added to the charm a little bit. How did you guys deal with stuff like constantly getting like doxed no matter where you went, while on your way to Vegas, and then once getting to Vegas?
Mind me going over the tech stuff real quick of why it was scuffed?
That's fine. Yeah.
So we'll start there. The reason it was scuffed, we had about an hour to an hour and a half notice of things actually happening, and there's like a whole litany of tech that needs to happen. And we had really banked on Starlink being more mobile friendly than it was. However, the only way that would have worked is if we had some sort of self-articulating device on top of the RV that pointed the Starlink towards the satellite the entire time. So if we didn't constantly have something with no, obstructions aiming the Starlink, it's basically useless on the road. It's great when you're stable, but totally useless on the road. So we were at the mercy of 5G. So the gamble didn't really pay off, and I think it was Verizon. You were at the mercy of Verizon's, coverage.
Even though they advertise it with being mobile, Starlink, is it really that bad?
Was that the "Can you hear me now" commercial? Was that Verizon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. there was lots of times where we could not hear them. Now it's very disappointing. In a perfect world, we would have got the system that basically takes a SIM card from T-Mobile, AT&T, all that stuff. It's a bonded connection, puts all the SIM cards together, and basically puts it all into one. So if there's packet loss on any of them, it will stop that one and then pick up the packet loss to another one. So we always have a proper signal. We just didn't have time to source that. So we knew what we could have done differently. It's just that the technology is not something you can just buy at Best Buy. It's something that has to be like special ordered, and we'll have it for next time. But that was basically in an hour and a half with a company credit card at Best Buy. That's what we were able to produce. So our bad, but we had a great time doing it, and we're glad you enjoyed it.
I didn't think that there. Yeah, I for the most part didn't even think you guys had Starlink up and running until you once you got to Vegas. My brother has Starlink, and I know you can't use it while you're driving and things like that. So I thought it was just you're at the mercy of whatever connection you were on, which would why. And I've traveled across the country a couple times, which is why like once I knew like where you guys were, like a general idea of where you guys were at, I was like they're gonna lose signal for like the next 3 hours or whatnot. So it wasn't a big surprise to me. Was there anything that happened behind the scenes that like we didn't see, like when the cameras would go down?
Were the cameras on when Sam hit the rock of the RV?
Was that when he picked up Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on, but I guess they were looking at in the back.
Yeah, that was basically the tone of the Vegas trip was we're gonna get there, it's gonna be clean, everything's gonna be great. As far as like we're just gonna keep it all like, because that was a rental RV, by the way. It wasn't ours. So it immediately turned from that to, all right, well, we've already put quite some damage to this thing. Fuck it, let it ride. And all kinds of debauchery happened while on the way there. Like nothing like super remarkable, but as you can imagine, there were like misadventures the entire way through. Mm-hmm. I pulled a gas pump off of a pump with the RV, just drove away with the gas pump still in there because no one was sleeping. We were driving nonstop. That was something that I can think was silly.
Completely forgot about it, just driving down the highway.
Well, I assumed Matt was going to take it out because I went in to get some rattlesnake jerky. I'm like, oh, rattlesnake jerky. And he's like, oh, sick. And I left him with the pump. I assumed he would take it out, but no one was sleeping. So everyone was just absolutely wonky. But nothing noteworthy. I'm sure there's a litany of things, but at the moment I can't remember them.
No worries. What about with like getting I guess you would say getting doxed, right? It seemed like wherever you went, the fans quickly found out where you were and started calling. Like when you finally stopped to get lunch, right? Was there any conversation with production about how to deal, or with production in the cast, or like how to deal with that stuff, essentially, or
like on day one when we got there, we had Tony come on. He was our executive security guy. Mm-hmm. He was basically just there to make sure nothing too crazy happened. It's usually my role, but it was nice to have some backup. And besides that, like we knew what we were getting into. As far as the callers calling all the hotels in Vegas, making so we couldn't get bookings and getting kicked out of the hell was it? I don't even know what that terrible hotel was. But
it was
kicked out of there.
The Gold Spike, right? At the Gold Spike, something.
That was so funny. Me and Matt went on like a clandestine mission. We got there and there's cops, and we knew it was going to happen. And we had a logistical person we brought on to help with Vegas, and she's like, "Yeah, they're gonna police escort you to your room and all that stuff. It's gonna be big to do." So me and Matt ended up going in at the back door and snuck in, took all the tech out, all of like the important stuff, and then let the fish go in, and then let the cops get involved. But it was just like really funny to stay like one step ahead of the authorities, if you will, most of the trip. But yeah, no, like we're no stranger to doxing and collars. The gun range was pretty intense. I guess it's mob owned still.
Oh,
And the
really?
woman was, yeah, oh yeah, it was. She's like, why are these freaks calling here saying that this and that? And we're like, oh, that's just what happens. It's the internet. And the only way that we could get into Machine Gun Vegas was they had hired basically 2 snipers to be on Overwatch on either side of the berm with weapons trained on us to make sure that we didn't do anything stupid.
That's crazy. We had no idea. You had like trained snipers on you to make sure you weren't gonna spin around on them. That's insane.
Yep, that woman was like pressing her hand back, which is like normal protocol, but then there was the 2 dudes on either side just, ready if things went wrong, they were just gonna do what they needed to do, I guess.
Were you guys the only ones there at that time? Like, were there other, I guess, patrons of what is it called, Gun Vegas, Machine Gun Vegas?
There were a couple other people, but it was a slower day.
When you guys went to Goodsprings, right? Did you get any inspiration there for the set of Blood games or anything like that in the future? Is there anything that stuck out that was cool there?
Do you mean the first time they went to Goodsprings for Skankfest, or do you mean this most recent time?
Well, I didn't even know you guys went for Skankfest. I'm not that deep of a fan.
Yeah, we went out there for Skankfest, and it's just obviously Fallout is especially Fallout 3 is like a big game for this demographic. So always got some inspo, but I think I don't think anything really came from Goodsprings as far as I can't say that. That's more of a Jet question. He had a really good idea of shitty. Like his vision of that was, I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but there could have been some inspo from that for sure.
One of my questions that I have here is, while you guys were performing, when you performed in Vegas, and at Substance, right, and during the Ball Brothers incident, Alex was posting in his Discord about how he had something big and crazy planned, right? And how he was in Vegas, and then ultimately he flashed a toy gun, he says, in his Discord. Were you guys alerted to that? Did you guys know that was going on?
So funny enough, we had awareness of that through you guys. Like people would just come from the woodworks and be like, "Hey, Alex is posting crazy stuff." Honestly, that was the least of our concerns. I think I won't really comment on why he did that, but it wasn't, that was not even on our radar. We were much worried of other things, so it didn't matter, I guess. And also, we had Tony, so he would have had a very bad day.
Oh yeah, I think Tony was the big security guy, right? Was that his wife? Did he have his wife with him? There was a woman with him, I think, a couple times. I remember seeing.
Oh no, that was logistical operator that we brought on from Vegas. Her name is Rebecca. She works the Skankfest crew. She's awesome.
Nice.
Like she got us hooked up a bunch of stuff out there. Oh yeah, no, it was great. That's usually my role, is like trying to stay ahead of things logistically and like plan stuff. But with having her on, I got to just enjoy the trip. It was sick.
How did you deal with Bert coming on to you so often?
Bert's a really like interesting guy. Super nice, but he's got a one-track mind, and it's just kind of silly. I'm like, is this real? Like, I didn't know if it was a bit or not. Like, I was trying to figure him out the whole time. So
yeah,
I mean, flattered, but not my rodeo, I guess is the best way to put it. So it was just a guy who was imprisoned in an RV coming on to me. It didn't really seem like a threat.
Yeah, I feel like with Bert, you can just like push him off to like the next person, right? You could be like, "Oh, I'm not gay, but this guy over here, this guy."
Yeah, that's what Luke was doing to me. Luke was
Yeah.
like, "Yo, this guy's deeply closeted," and like trying to like push like the gay bait off to me. It was like hot potato. But
Then
like respectfully, like Bert he was super respectful as soon as I'm like, "Nah, man, that's not it." And like he like did Bert stuff, but he never like had any physical advances. He was very respectful about it. He was just being a character.
did you see the beginning of at the beginning of season 3, did you see Bert as being the one who would ultimately win the show? Or did you have any doubts or any maybe somebody else that you thought would possibly win?
I didn't think anyone would win season 3 at the start. I was like, none of these people are going to make it. They're too normal. Like normally a fish tank it's like a frog in a pot of boiling water, or a frog in a pot of water, and then it slowly starts to come to a boil, and the frog just gets used to the water being warm, and used to it being hot, then used to it being like very hot, and by the time he realizes he's in a pot of boiling water, it's too late and he's already boiled. That's normally how fish tank works. Season 1 you saw that more than the other seasons, but Bert, I was concerned about his health from the start. So I didn't think he was going to make it. I had a very close eye on him and was watching him more intently than the other cast members, to be honest. So no, like seeing him win I think, it was a shock to everyone.
Yeah, he takes like a shit ton of supplements, man. Is it? I don't know, man. I take like maybe like 6 or 7 different vitamins a day. This guy seems like he's taking like 20 different vitamins like 3 times a day. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was just as shocked as you in day 1 when he dumped his bag out and it was just like a pharmacy on the ground. I was like on the camera, like zooming in, trying to see what it was. I'm like, do I need to like go up there? Like, what is this? What's happening?
One of the things that I'd like to know is I hate this question. Um, which house smelt the worst, season 1 or season 2 at the end?
Season 1, 100%.
Was it the fish heads, the goat shit?
No, it was the garage. So we didn't think about the amount of waste that would be produced by a house full of humans, we'll call them. Like that. Like there was just so many of them in there, and it was production, it was everyone coming in and out of the basement, it was all the people, and like the garbage just started piling up in the trash in the garage because we didn't have enough waste removal, and I was off site and it just wasn't getting done. So it was so bad that it smelled like, rotting flesh, which is just like a very like a particular smell, and the whole house just smelled of it. It was absolutely insane, and it had just like seeped out of the bags, and the only way to get it out was with a power washer, and we just didn't have time or the drive to do that. So the whole house just smelled like rotting flesh. All after like 2 weeks. In season 1, it's like nothing you can imagine. Season 2 was definitely dirtier because we made the house in a swamp and there's dirt everywhere and mud and trees and shit and the chickens, but season 1 definitely takes the cake for the smells.
What happened to the goat Beans? What happened to Beans?
Beans just went back to where Beans came from. There is no crazy story.
He's alive.
Some people, well, very much alive. Some people have speculated that Sam had saw Beans on the side of the road while he was driving in his Porsche, and he decided to throw Beans in the Porsche and then drive it to the set and throw it in there with them, and that's how Beans came to be Beans. But I'm not really sure how it all went down, but I just know there was a goat one day. My one rule was no animals, because if PETA gets involved, they will literally drive a tank through your fucking house and execute everyone, because animals have more rights than people, which is kind of nuts, but, But yeah, one day we were on the set of World Peace, and I look down at my phone, it's blowing up, and I just see like a Reddit group posting pictures of a goat. And I'm like, that can't be Fishtank. And then I saw Josie of the goat, or Letty, and I was like, this is bad. And I like left the set to like get there and try to mitigate, the damage control for what could have happened. That was we got out very easy with the goat. We weren't as lucky with the chickens, unfortunately.
Yeah, that goes into my next question. What happened with the chickens?
So here's the full story of the chickens. And mind you, I skipped over something very important. This will allow me to make up for that. Bex joined us with season 2. Mm-hmm. And Bex was an integral role of making season 2 happen. She was the one that was getting the 32 gallons of milk and all of like there could have been a spin-off show just about the travels of Bex and the insane, unhinged shopping lists that were given to her at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever o'clock in the morning that she had to put together. Like season 2 wouldn't have been as incredible without her. She was cooking everyone food, doing all kinds of stuff. I just need to give her a shout out. But the chickens. So I think you guys know, Bex is a vegan. Mm-hmm. So we found the only place to get live chickens was from a slaughterhouse. And this slaughterhouse is called Antonelli's. It's in Providence. And it's like this old Italian, like, they just have a bunch of chickens and like, oh, you want a chicken? And they just like kill it right there in front of you. These chickens are living in terrible conditions. They've been almost shut down numerous times, but since they're from like the good old days, they just get to stay open. So we saved these chickens from a slaughterhouse, gave them like a chicken bath, and then like gave them the best chance we could, and put them in the house. And so the rules were don't fuck with the chickens, treat them like pets. But as you know, Frank was around, and Frank is difficult to work with sometimes. Strangely enough, a pretty nice guy, but very challenging to work with and control.
He's a great guy.
He can't turn that off. He's just Frank Hassel. Like, that's not a bit. Like, if he could turn it off, it'd be a superpower, but that's just him. He's Frank. Which is fine. We love the guy, and we'll continue to have him around. He can't be replaced. But yeah, he fucked the chickens, and people took some really cool screenshots of that and clips and sent it to everyone that would listen. And a couple weeks after, no, not a couple weeks. It was like, a couple weeks after the show had wrapped, mind you, we took the chickens and gave them to a sanctuary, like an animal sanctuary, and they got picked up and taken out. Like, as soon as they were off the camera, they were in the garage for staging. Bex got these people to come out and give these chickens a great chicken life. Like, these chickens are probably still having the time of their life right now. Like, we saved them. But PETA got involved and SPCA, and it was really, they like raided the house and like took all the hard drives, anything that was a tech at all, grabbed it all and like impounded it. And I had to go there and retrieve it after they realized that we hadn't actually tortured these animals. They're like, oh, our bad, come get your shit. And so that's where the evidence sticker came from. We just took a picture of the evidence stickers from our tech, and we're selling it as a sticker. So if you have any questions about that, that's where that's from. But they didn't care for us. They honestly just wanted Frank's head. They're like, who is this guy? I'm like, I have no idea. He's just a guy we found on the street. Don't know who he is, but we're in good standings with the SPCA after that. But yeah, that was the chicken fiasco.
What can we expect to see more of Bex in the future? I know everybody was screaming for her in season 3.
I'm not sure. Bex is pursuing like her DJ career. She's back in Oregon doing Bex stuff. I'm sure this is not the last time you've seen of Bex. She's an integral part of the team, and we'll see.
Nice. What out of the 3 seasons and Blood Games that you've been a part of, can you give me your favorite scenes from each season, or your favorite moments?
Start backwards. It'll be easier.
Okay, so season 3.
Season 3, I would say when we went into the tunnels, before we went in with the fish, it was Jet, myself, and security. We went in there and tried to build like rapport with the people first, and we definitely went down the wrong tunnel. Like we went like if you go to the far left, that's like all the pictures you see, like all the crazy stuff. Like that's like where they live. Like we went in there and there was some guy that was like just coming up from shooting up, and he was all fucked up, and it was on edge. Like I'm happy that we had our security detail and everything, but it could have gone real bad. And it was just like a really cool, the danger, like going down there, like it just did something that was really cool for like everyone. We just made it way more fun. And then we ended up meeting what's his name? Jay Flanders, the mayor of the town, basically, and he ended up escorting us through, the guy with the missing eye and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was people. I'm sorry, a lot of people were wondering if you had like the same kind of connection that like Brandon Buckingham had, because he was also in the Brandon Buckingham video where he was he was up under there.
No, we walked in there and found him like in his little like living area, and he was just super chill. And then Jet was like, "Hey, my buddy, I've come through here before. You may know him, Brandon Buckingham." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." And then I built rapport, and then we asked them if we could come film, and we got the blessing. And so going through there was just a really cool thing to see those people living in those conditions and giving them the supplies. And it was a very wholesome moment from like a normally like pretty fucked up show. So I think that was probably the coolest moment, to then like one of the most crazy moments where we betted the $50,000 on roulette and then lost. That was just like the perfect sandwiching of crazy good feelings and then crazy like, did we just lose $50,000? And it was just, I think that was the coolest patch of moments for me right there.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember when you guys came out, not all the cameras were working, and I remember I was watching Luke's camera, and Luke was like, "You think how crazy it is? Like we were just down under there with all those homeless people, like wading through shit, and now look, like, and it's just all the lights of Las Vegas in front of you guys."
It was surreal, but honestly, we were very happy that we lost the money. That was the best way that could have ended. Like, what would have happened? We would have $100,000 from that, and nothing would have changed. We would have left Bert in the middle of the desert with a check for $0. Like, it would have just been money that went towards the spaceship. Like, whatever.
In regards to leaving Bert in the desert, right? The scene where you guys are romping down the desert road, and you leave him there, and then Sam goes to get into the RV and it's stuck, right? Honestly, I know that's not scripted. Did you guys end up leaving the RV there, or did you go back, and what happened there?
All right, I take that back. The entire Vegas time was my favorite moment of the entire season. There was so much insane, like, blockbuster things. The night prior at 2 a.m, me and Tony were outside, like, trying to find locations to dump Bert in the desert. So we were going to go to Death Valley, we were going to go to Salt Flats. None of those places had service. So we found next to the Hoover Dam, there was like this big, like, runoff patch next to like a power plant. And I'm like, oh, this is like way back here. They're gonna have service, and sure enough, they did. And found it like 2 a.m, and so I sent some pictures to Sam. And I'm like, hey, this is a pretty technical terrain out here. You know, either you or I should drive the van out, or the RV. But at this point, I think it'd be best if you do. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna drive the RV for the off-roading. I'm like, all right, good luck. And so, yeah, that was not scripted. Sam took that RV and just matted the pedal to the floor and drove over the most, like, it was some like real technical shit. It was big dugouts. I was very impressed that he did not flip or break the RV in half for that journey. It wasn't just like a bumpy road. That was I have some footage I'll probably put out later from being in the trail car, and that RV is like Mario Kart style, like ramping over stuff. It was insane. But yeah, Sam went backwards and went into some soft sand and got the RV stuck, and then we said fuck it, just left it with Bert out there in the desert, drove off the trail car and let him just sit for a while, then tried to figure out how to recover the vehicle, and realized it wasn't going to be till like 1 a.m, and that's just kind of how it happened. We left it there until we could get a recovery team. They didn't recover it the first time. It was too fucking stuck. So we had to get some specialized like off-road recovery team to come out and like do like a huge like ordeal recovery with a bunch of vehicles. And that was Jet and Ben. Like the next day, they were out there for hours, like trying to have them recover it. It was a really fucked up situation.
Digging sand out from underneath the tires and stuff, just to move it a couple inches. And
yeah, I was already on a plane. They were out there in the trenches trying to deal with that because that was some pretty desolate desert. Like it wasn't just like off the road; it was miles into the desert.
What about with season 2? And I'm just gonna mute my mic for a second here.
Yeah, well, let's go for 2.5 first. Blood Games.
Yeah, go for 2.5. I'm here, but I have to take care of some business. Hold on.
So 2.5, definitely I think the Blood Rave was hands down one of the funnest moments. Just to see people going absolutely apeshit on each other and like really being into character and LARPing. And Alex Stein made that very special by just shouting the entire time and really capturing the feeling of how everyone was there. It was a party. It was super cool. So that was probably the top tier moment of 2.5. That and like the final scene of everyone like doing battle against Sam. That was pretty sick. So that was my 2.5. And then season 2, probably the Swamp Olympics. I think the paintball part of having them play paintball with the first person point of view cameras was really intense. I think that added another layer of production to the show. So I think that was probably the GoPros, people running around, and the bow tag and all that stuff. That was probably my favorite moment of that season. And season 1, honestly, I think I had the most fun season 1. It's like 2 a.m, and Jet's like, "Do you want to put the shark outfits on and go fuck with them?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go do that." So for me personally, I had the most fun fucking with them as a shark. But I think the coolest part of it was the camping experience, and what followed immediately after the camping experience, as far as like the big like memorable moments. But season 1 was very difficult because that was when World Peace 2 was being shot. So it was World Peace from like the morning till mid-afternoon, and then Fishtank from the mid-afternoon till the evening. So it was just a back-to-back experience. It was grueling, but it was a ton of fun.
Was there ever a moment in I guess in your fish tank career where you were just like, man, I think I've put on too much of a workload, or in your MDE career, right? Where you feel like you're just too overworked?
It's a pretty chill environment. Sam is super good about making sure that people don't get overloaded. So he'll check in and be like, "Hey, I know you're juggling $1 Million Caffeine, Zip, World Peace 2, Fishtank, and your job. Are you good?" And I'll be like, "No, like, we can't like keep, expanding all these things. Like, need help." And obviously, like Julian's like running Zip and everything, but he needed a hand for a bit. But it's just no, like I feel as though we've just handled it as a team. Like if I need help, someone will step up. Same thing with everyone else. If someone just says they need help, like we're all there. So now I think the juggle has been pretty good. It's just been very difficult to have a day job and do all of this. If this was like my primary bit, yes, it would be perfect, but a little overwhelming trying to still be semi-normal and have like a semi 9 to 5 day job.
With when going back to when you said season 2.5 with the paintballs, um, what one of the things that a lot of people liked was uh the first person cameras that they had. And then also in blood games, people like them as well. Will we see more first person camera in the future? Is that something we can look forward to?
Our R&D department is currently working on a better way to do that, because in the past we had a GoPro, and then we had a chest strap, and that worked all right, but it didn't allow us to. We had to like be like limited battery. Like there was just a lot of like technical things that were wrong with GoPro. It didn't push properly to like our server. I won't get into the tech stuff. I'll bore you. But yes, you will see first person in the future, especially when and if we do a Blood Games-esque spinoff. It's going to be like a whole custom setup, though. It's going to be like Blood Games was just a shitty Samsung phone strapped to a football pads. Like that worked pretty well, but we're going to do it a lot better next time. So yes, you will see that in the future. As far as application in an actual like fish tank, maybe, but too soon to tell. Like we'll see.
All right.
You were talking earlier about blood games and how you kind of they wanted to be near the crew. They didn't go venture out. Have you kind of like game theoried how you would make them want to go explore and explore the different areas?
Yes. So initially we had all this writing and there's like quests and all this stuff to get them out there. Things like we would hide stuff out there, like supplies. But then they just stopped. They weren't, unfortunately, like they were not playing ball as we wanted them to. They were just exhausted and being beat up by the elements, so it was very difficult to get them excited to go out there and explore. It just being outside does something to your mind, and I can't dock them for that. Like as production, like in the moment we were a little pissed about it because we put so much work into building the world and the map, and for it not to get used, it was kind of infuriating. But you know, they're people. They're not video game characters. They're not animals. Like they have needs too.
Right. And then earlier you were talking about like the technical stuff with like traveling. Are you going to do any more traveling in the future when it comes to the fish?
It's not out of the question. We won't do traveling again haphazardly. If we do traveling, it will be production value is going to be there because we're very passionate about having a great product. We don't want to just do things like scuffed. Like,
right, yeah.
It's not the vibe we're going for. So, yes, there will be more traveling, and it will be done a lot better. I can't tell you when, but no, it's being talked about a bunch.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are working on like the backup plans on backup plans, as they say, like choosing the right contestants, especially with how different they can be from season to season. Have you thought about what kind of people you're looking for? I mean, I've heard a lot of theories that you're looking for like fans and stuff.
So the next big thing, Fishtank's kind of out there now. Season 1, the magic of not everyone knowing who Sam Hyde is or Fishtank, and it's just if people were applying for reality shows, they're in like the universe, then they'll see this kind of content. So it's very difficult to find people that don't know what the bid is. So yes, there will be a chance for fans to apply for the coming seasons. We're going to run casting a little differently. This is Jet's baby, but I'll allude to it. Basically, we're going to rent out places in a couple of major cities, like a big hall or like Marriott type thing, and it's going to just be a traditional casting where people come in, you know, tell us your story, tell us about you, show us who you are or the character that you want to be, and then we'll do it professionally and, you know, give you X amount of time to do it, and either get a call or you won't. So for everyone that reaches out to me and the rest of the crew, you will have a shot. So stay tuned.
And then why would like I don't know. Personally, for me, I wouldn't want to be on the show just because of like the things that come along with that. Um, I guess why would why would a fan, a super fan, I guess, want to apply for that?
I personally don't enjoy being in front of the camera. This is a rare thing for me to want to do at all. Like, it had a lot of
And
hesitation to
thank you
do
so
this.
much for that.
Yeah, no, that's, I figured there's a part of the story that needed to be told, and I would do it at the expense of my privacy, I guess. But um, as you've noticed, a lot of the contestants have been able to piggyback off of their time in the spotlight and do stuff with their fame, be it Josie being a full-time streamer now, or Binks
Right.
having her channel slightly boosted. Like, I'm not going to like go into it, but we do our best to take care of you. This isn't some exploitive thing where we like chew you up and spit you out. We do our best to give you the tools to take what you have and do something with it. Like, or in the future, you might like work with us. Like, we'll be working with Luke in the future. We might be doing all this stuff. Like, it's just it doesn't
Yeah.
just it isn't a rug pull. So if anything, you've done something incredibly special and important for us, and we can never forget that kind of stuff. So we'll always kick work towards you, and stuff like that in the future. So it's you're a part of something that is very special to all of us, and that's what we can promise you. And if that's
Nice.
not enough, then I guess the prize money and your day rate. As I don't know if
Yeah.
everyone knows this, but the contestants aren't just they don't just show up and then they're like, all right, I made it 37 days but didn't win, so I guess I'm going home with nothing. Every contestant has a day rate, so everyone went home with something.
There's always that
Even
bit.
those who claim not to.
Yeah, there's always that
Even those that
bit
can,
where they're like, "I didn't get any money. I still haven't been paid," and we're like, "All right, buddy, sure thing." Who were your favorite contestants from each of the 3 seasons?
season 1, I'm gonna say Vance. Like,
Yeah.
before even working with him, uh, he just he was a good dude. He was playing the game the entire time. There was never a time where Vance had checked out, and I respected the hell out of him for that. He like never, he never broke. Even when I was when he did his schizo act, that was the most convincing thing I've ever seen in my life. I've got a pretty serious medical background, and to have his mother call and be like, "Hey, I know my son, and I think my son is actually losing his mind. Like, he needs help." And I'm like, "Yeah, let me check on him." And I look in, and I'm just like, "Sweet mother of God!" And it was like the toilet paper on the ceiling fan slowly spinning, and the room totally like fucked. Like, he's the real deal. Vance is number 1 pick for season 1 for sure. Season 2, I was the one that picked up TJ from the airport. So I had like a cool like first day bond. I got to see his arc from meek stim boy to he had his like hero arc, and it was cool to see him win from that. So I think it's TJ, but also at the same time Shinji, because Shinji came at it like his friends just put him up to it. He had no idea what he was doing. He just showed up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to make money." And we're like, "All right, buddy, good luck." And he played the game and he was creating content the entire time. I think from a content perspective, it was Shinji, but from like an interaction with the contestant, it was definitely TJ.
Yeah, I think Shinji, personally, there was a period of time where after the show, he didn't really know how to handle the fame, right? He was getting a lot of angry tweets and messages, and he eventually, just decided he was going to go back to Japan and do his thing there. But I think we were talking. I think it was Frank. We were talking to Frank or somebody, and they said that they had just talked to Shinji recently, and he seems to be doing pretty good in life.
It's good to hear. I haven't kept up with Shinji, so that's the first news I've heard, and that makes me happy. So
What
Glad he's doing well.
what about with the season 3?
That's tough. I didn't have much interaction with the contestants in season 3. I tried to distance myself and stay in my bubble of making sure the show went on and supporting Matt the best I could and just fine tuning everything. So I didn't have a ton of interaction. The Vegas trip was probably the closest I've got to them, and it was difficult. I don't know. I think from his perspective, I could see myself liking Luke. He was just a funny, like happening dude. Binks was very cool and was like, I know she's 32 or whatever. The internet doesn't like her, but she was awesome. So I think it's a mix between Binks and Luke.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the 32 comments come from like newer fans, right? I feel like a lot of the older fans are more in the 30s to, late 30s age bracket there. I don't get the 32 hate personally. One of the things I wanted to know is when we were talking with Jeff said that Alex Stein got him on the show. Does Alex have a hand in picking people for the show?
I think when he said Alex Stein, he really meant Alex Schultz.
Okay,
But
that would make more sense, I guess. Yeah.
Alex Schultz has an in with homeless people that I will never understand. I think he's like Rain Man of the homeless people. He just goes out there and like is just like a human to them, and is able to like transcend like a lot of like um, social hierarchy things, and just he's a real dude. So I think any homeless person that you've seen on our show, with the exception of the one from season 1, I don't remember that man's name. I see him all the time though. It's in the streets of Providence. That guy was just picked up in a U-Haul van. Sam literally took a U-Haul van, drove to Kennedy Plaza, and was like, "You want to make $600?" And the guy's like, he's like, "Get in the van." And that's how we got that guy. Sam literally he rented a U-Haul van because he didn't want him in any of our vehicles. He smelled, and drove him to the season 1 house. So that's how that happened, just to give you an idea of that. But all the other homeless were brought on by Alex Schultz. A couple of those faces you'll see from World Peace 2. They were extras slash, I guess, yeah, they were just extras in it as well. So, yeah, Schultz is the homeless wrangler.
Speaking of World Peace 2, win 2027. What's going on there?
Our goal is to beat GTA 6. So
Okay.
it's either that or Half-Life 3. One of the 3 will come out. I just can't tell you which one will come first. I hope it's us. We're just working on some of the final touches. We have a couple different editors working on it, and we want to just make sure it's something really special. It was such an incredible passion project. We want to make sure it's properly represented, and we have a lot of effort going into it. So look for on the horizon. I'm not sure where yet, but it's going to be there. Don't worry.
I know people have seen or said they've seen the first two episodes of it. How many episodes are we talking? How long are the episodes?
The episode, we have 10. Don't quote me on that, but 10 right now. There's 36 different skits, maybe more. I think we're still going to film some. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, I think look for 10, but don't be surprised when there's like 15.
No, it'd be great. And then what are you thinking? Like 15-minute, like World Peace 1, or are we talking like 30-minute long episodes?
I haven't looked at the final edits, but definitely more towards the 30.
Nice. How do you handle being on, I guess, like being on the show and like dealing with like some of the people who like just crash out like on the show, like go crazy, right? Like for instance, like how do you deal with somebody like a Jimmy or something like that? How do you guys handle things like that?
Jimmy was hard to deal with because we wanted to give him the chance to not crash out like he did in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
We gave him a second shot, put him back in there, but it's an incredible rigorous toll on your mind being in that environment. So I can't dock anyone, but Jimmy was just closely watched. We always had someone ready to go. He was never like, yes, there was like a lot of like violent acts towards women, but they were never like, if he actually acted in those things and didn't just feign them. If you watch everything back, everything was a feint. Nothing was him clubbing someone with a mallet. It was always just like, it could have gotten really bad. He towed that line, and I haven't had a chance to catch up with him. I actually had a great experience with Jimmy season 2.5, minus him trying to send me home with a cow milker. That's kind of weird. But short of that, Jimmy was actually a pretty good dude, but pretty level in my head comparatively to how the character he portrayed in season 2. But we always just have people ready for people crashing out. Like this, that's a part of the experience, unfortunately. I think the most difficult one was Summer. I'll talk about that a little bit, just because there's a story needs to be told there.
Yeah, definitely.
Summer came on from the second that she left the Uber to the second she got back in the Uber. There was a camera trained on her every step of the way. So we wanted to pull her right after she puked and had that first panic attack. And we talked to her. She's like, no, I can hold it together. But as soon as the wheels started falling off, we got her out of there, and we made sure to do it in the most like tactful, like cover our own ass way, because there was just a lot going on there. So luckily, I don't think we had to release the footage, but like numerous cameras the whole way through, like from phones to the FX3. I think we handled that situation the best we could, but you never want to see that kind of stuff happen. Like, it's just to see someone's mind just go like that. Like, she had some pre-existing conditions that she lied about on her medical. It's hard. It's just difficult to see that happen to someone. But I'm happy we were there to handle it the way we did.
Yeah, she seemed to have like lost her shit, right? And then especially afterwards with the stuff she was saying, and then going back on it, and then going back to it, and then just going back. Like, I hope she gets the help that she needs.
We all do.
What would you say to a younger person who wants to get into sort of a career like what you have built for yourself? If you could speak to the younger generation, right? What would you say to them?
Work out, get jacked, talk to homeless people that come to your gym. Pretty much it. No. I would say, honestly, get as many skills as you can. Don't ever dive down too deep into one thing. You need to be incredibly well-rounded, have the ability to know a little bit about a lot of things, and then have a network of friends that you can call upon when you have questions, or people that will help you. It's not something you can do on your own. I'm incredibly lucky to have an incredible support network of people that I can call upon at any hour of the night. So just have friends that are passionate about the same things that you are. Work towards something. At the very least, try to do like a sandbox experiment of your own. Like, put something together. Like, have a resume. Don't just get in someone's DMs and be like, hire me. It's easy to like lose sight of, what's going on and do that. And I don't dock anyone that does that. But if you say, hire me, look what I did, or look at this, and you have something to present to it, that's the way to do it. Like, create something. Like, even if it's not the coolest, most produced thing ever, like, you have to have something, like something tangible. And once you've done that, like, hell, like, we had someone come on and realize very quickly that they're like, you know what? This isn't it. And there's no harm or foul. It's just looking at something from the outside is very different than actually being in the trenches and doing it. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. I call it like there's the creatives. We've got like the Jets and everyone that are out there like making this incredible content you see. Then there's like a whole production team of people that are like slaves to what's going on. Like we're staring into screens like that all day long, like just trying to get things to be lip sync the entire time and chasing all kinds of gremlins. Like it's incredibly difficult unless you have a wild idea and like you're like privileged like Jet and Sam and all them to be able to like make like art like they can. Like you have to have a lot of skills and just take time to hone them. And that's the best I can say. Oh, by the way, this is not the downplay. I want to say that I don't know if you guys know this, but Sam is like scary brilliant to the point where he knows every single role to a scary degree that we do, like tech, like photo editing, video editing, like networking. Sam is like a mastermind of everything. Like he knows who's doing work. He knows who he needs to like be on about stuff. Like it's just it's a privilege to be able to do what I do. So I just want to thank Sam for, trusting me with his baby. And also Jet, like, Jet may just wear like Balenciaga and walk around in fucking clown shoes, and he has his W's, he has his L's, but that man is like out there grinding, working to like make stuff. He's got like a better finger on the vein of like what's happening and like what's what Fishtank is than anyone else. So I want to give him like credit where it's due. He is Fishtank. So
what about my boy Ben? Can we give a little props to my boy Ben? We haven't mentioned Ben all interview.
How can we forget Ben? Holy shit.
Gay or not, Ben is, I think Ben carried so much of this season.
Ben was such a character that I completely forgot it was him. Like, if you had been like, oh yeah, Ben was hosting all of season 3, I would be like, what do you mean? There was some gay guy doing that. Like, that man, so what you guys might not know is Ben used to work at a sandwich shop. He was a sandwich smith. And then he came from California and nonstop watched YouTube videos on acting and production and learned video editing and learned all kinds of wild stuff and just became a irreplaceable member of the team. Like, he's not just a queer guy in front of the camera. He's out there doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, like I guess this is a good time to just give props to everyone we do. I don't want to do this to people. Like, we got Luca who came out. Luca came over the pond. He helped us out a bunch in 2.5 and 2 or 3. Steinfeld, as you guys saw, season 2's edits. The dude's a wizard. He came out for 2.5 and works with Sam and a couple other projects, but he's out there killing it. Nate, I know you're gonna hate me saying your name, but the guy who would randomly be on production, or the shark with the Fleck camo shirt. That's Nate.
Was he the bigger guy with the glasses? Is that him?
I don't know if he had glasses.
2? No. Never mind.
No,
there was a guy like in the attic during season 2.
Oh, that's Shaman Joe. Shaman Joe is just like a guy I went to high school with, and he just happened to have some time, and he helped the building of like all of season 2, and so did Nate. Nate helped with season 2 building and Blood Games building. All of the intricate details was Nate. So I know I'm forgetting people. We had Mints come out towards the end. I'm sorry to anyone I've forgotten, but you made it happen
quite a bit. We seen him on Instagram. Came upstairs a couple of times. Was not drunk looking for cigarettes this season.
Wait, who's this?
Chip.
Oh, yep, Chip. He was drunk looking for cigarettes down in the basement instead. We took care of his cigarette needs. Don't worry. We didn't need to put him on camera this time. Now he comes out. He's one of Jet's like really good friends. Always helps us out when we need it. it's the chip experience. You're gonna get where you get with him. He's a character.
What is what's Chris Lynch been up to? Not a lot of people have been seeing this guy, Chris Lynch.
Chris is heavily working with Sam. He's basically the magic behind Sam getting out and getting all these tours. You guys seeing him in person, that's thanks to Chris Lynch. He's his tour manager. He's out there like grinding, and like we would love to have him. Like he's fucking awesome, but his talents are needed elsewhere right now. So he's just behind the scenes working with Sam and doing all kinds of stuff like editing. Chris is nonstop working, like always. Just much like me, he doesn't need to be in front of the camera all the time.
One of the things I wanted to ask is, this kind of goes back to season 2, archive footage, right? There are plenty of instances on the archive footage where it either won't load or it'll show me a clip to something that has nothing to do with Fishtank, whether it be some Asian guy trying to sell me something or a scene from A Star Is Born. Why are these scrubbed? Are these purposefully removed? What's going on there?
So I'm gonna take this opportunity to pass the burden on this one. Season 1 we used Cloudflare. They had their own issues for our streaming service. We ended up going with this newer thing called LivePeer. And LivePeer is more of a smaller service. They were able to like have a representative to like constantly work with us. Litany of issues. Kind of hate them, but they're working with us, and that's what we're using. But when moving servers over, somehow they mixed up due to the every clip having the same name as other clips in their server. They all got mixed up when they were changing their servers over, so it shuffled all of their clients' data that wasn't properly named. And as you can imagine, every camera is motion censored, so every time someone walks through it, takes like 20 seconds before and 20 seconds after motion, and then saves that on the archive. And there's just a gazillion instances of that. So we're not going to name them all those. That's just not real. So unfortunately, we LivePeer dropped the ball, and that wasn't us scrubbing or anything. We're lucky to have the data we have. To be totally honest, it was a huge folly.
Yeah, there was definitely some good stuff. I know, because I clipped quite a bit during season 2, and I remember Steinfeld even reached out to me and some other people, and he's like, "I'm looking for this one specific thing," and I don't think nobody has it, so it might not be in the episode whenever that drops.
I'm sure whoever that guy was trying to sell you something has that clip, and maybe we can reach out to that guy and be like, "Hey, do you have this clip? He searched through all this fucking useless garbage for us."
But what we're using? Are you guys? I'm saying we. Are you guys going to be using the same house for season 4?
The goal is to kind of keep everything fresh and keep giving you guys new visual experiences. We understand that as the viewer, a lot of the experience is just like exploring the house and like seeing all the subtle like nuances behind it and like exploring the Zillows and like the quest to like dox the location. Like we get it. It's fun, and that's a really cool aspect of it. There will be other locations. I personally hope to be seeing the season 3 house again. You will not be able to recognize it next time you see it, but it will be the same environment. It's just such a, I'm sure you've seen the listing. It's such a cool property. So, yeah, the house will probably be used again, but we'll always be keeping it like something will always change and be fresh and different.
Yeah, I remember when the house first got doxed, right? It was like in the beginning of Blood Games, believe it or not. Like a helicopter. I'll tell you how it happened. A helicopter flew over, and somebody went on like flight radar or something and found a helicopter, and then started like looking a little bit closer, and that's exactly how it happened. crazy how these autists do these things.
Were you on season 1 Doc's location search as well?
I didn't know the season 1 house until after season 1. But I remember when season 2 happened, it was some people were talking about it happening. I don't know how that stuff happens. I'm super like not my bag, but
You
it's
think the
kind of
Hellfire
crazy.
is bad? They found the color of the garage door, how many windows are on like the east face thing, whatever the side the sun raises on, the amount of windows, the make and model of the garage door and color, and then just went in like a 100-mile radius of our office and found that location.
That's
That's
crazy.
how dude, like,
is it
the
not the
amount of
same
time.
house from the trailer? Because I remember the trailer for Fishtank before it started. Was that not the same house or no?
I don't know his name. It's Chinese characters. He's bottom left. Dude, I've been talking to all day. I said that you guys already know where I live because this is Fishtank. This is that house.
Nice. You're in.
Yeah.
Nice. What was the damage to that house? If you mind me asking, like how much?
Season 1?
Yeah.
Season 1 was $126,000.
Jesus.
Mainly, honestly, because that couch that they moved around, like the fucking, I'm gonna make Ferragamo couch, whatever it was, just insert crazy expensive $12,000 couch. One of the legs came off and it just had this like ball bearing that gouged the entire hardwood floor wherever it was, like deep gouging. And hardwood floors are expensive, so we had to replace basically all of the hardwood floor in the entire house, top and bottom. It would have been even more, but the doc went in there and did all the work himself. A couple of his contractor buddies helped, but we kept the cost down. It would have been the twos easy if not for him. So he saved the budget for season 2.
I think a lot of people really enjoyed the simplicity of the house, the layout of the house in season 1. And even in season 2, it was, the first couple of days it was kind of weird, kind of trying to navigate it. I just feel like the season 3 house is so big, right? And there's so many areas that either don't get used, or if they do get used, the audio is bad because it's such a wide open area. A lot of people were saying it would probably be cheaper just to build a house and then wire all of the cameras and microphones into the house, as opposed to, or even buy like a smaller house and do it that way than it would to be such a big house.
So I have a question for you actually about that. Season 2 to season 3 audio. What were your thoughts?
I feel the audio was better in season 2, or I'm sorry, in season 3. But it really depended on where the people were in the house, in location to the actual microphones. I mean, there were instances where you couldn't really hear people in season 2, depending on where they were. Like say, like if someone was in bedroom 3, and someone was over by the bookshelf in bedroom 3 by the bunks, and someone was on the couch, you couldn't really hear the person. Whereas in season 3, you could hear them. You could hear production actually turn the levels up. You could hear people whispering, even though there was like the whole whisper tax thing. You could hear the people whispering, but it was a lot more audible. But there were like places like the garage, right? And then the deck that goes around the garage. That audio was just like the worst, I think, in my opinion.
That room was incredibly difficult. There was zero treatment. It used to be an old in-ground pool, and it's just a huge, like, it's the worst. Would have probably, I could have spent $100,000 in that room to treat it, and we probably would have got proper audio, but it was a wash. originally wasn't supposed to be used as much as it ended up being used. But just to give you an idea, from season 2 to season 3, season 2 we were using these little like Shure mics that were like $175 each. We had like 8 of them on like the ceilings, all in different arrays to capture it. And it was mixed down to a mixer, which then got mixed into audio interface that then got pushed back to the camera, and the camera ingested it, synced it together, and then pushed it to us. Then we pushed it to live peer. But the cameras were degrading. There was no way to to fully use raw. It would just, as a security camera, they just compress the data, unfortunately. Talk to their engineers and everything. So we had to get away from that. And now in season 3, we use something called a Clear One system, which are these little tennis balls that hang from the ceiling. I'm sure you saw them.
Yeah,
Each one of those is $1,900.
Jesus.
Each mic. And they have a triple mic array, each at a certain part of it to be basically a omnidirectional mic. And so we put those in there, and then those are network mics, so they're all networked together. Then we have this wild array called Dante Audio, where we plumb it all together, make like the zones, pair them up with a script that Majok wrote, which basically time syncs the audio, puts a proper delay on the audio to the video, and pairs it up, and then pushes to the live peer. And on our end, it's seamless and it's totally time synced. But when we push out the paired thing to live peer, they have an issue with their streaming thing where they can't sync their audio and video, so it's out of our hands. And we even went so far as to try to much like in DJing, we beat match something, we were sending it unsynced to them, hoping that we would beat match it from like they would then their fucked up thing would mess it up enough where it would match it, and we kept fishing at that the entire season, and it just didn't work out. So we're gonna have a better way to do that next season, don't worry. But I agree, smaller location would be better. The house was massive. We're working on all this, so those are really good things to make notes on.
Yeah, I think that I really, like I said, I really enjoyed season 3 a lot. I think the audio in season 3 was great. But just I feel like, personally myself, right? I feel like the tinier situation, right? The smaller house, more they don't have room. They don't have room to go anywhere. They don't have room to get away from anybody, right? Where has this huge gigantic house, they could go anywhere essentially and get away. I felt like that added to the stress that the fish feel. That's just my personal,
No, and your personal opinion is also on the money. That was one of our biggest gripes about season 3 was how big the house was. We were hoping to have a bunch of people in there and have them utilize the entire house and give it more of the reality show type feel of you're in this massive mansion, super cool. But we learned a lot from it, and we'll definitely be, if we use the same location, we'll be reskinning parts of it and coordinating it off so they only have access to certain parts of it. So that probably won't happen again at that level. No one was having fun with that, I assure you.
Let me ask you a question, man. You seem like a very busy guy. How do you juggle all of this and still have time for yourself at the end of the day?
That's a great question. I think there is no time at the end of the day is the real secret. And the reason for that is because what I'm doing is my passion. I'm having so much fun doing all this, just solving all these different puzzles and everything. Work isn't work. I'm literally just, this is how I decompress, by having fun and creating this kind of content for you guys. This is not work. So when Fishtank is going, there is no time for anything. As you can see, I'm a big nerd. I do sim racing and game a bunch, and DJing and all that jazz. But yeah, goes to the wayside, and I'm just all in. Same with everyone else in the team. If you think any of those people left the basement the entire time Fishtank was going on, you're crazy. They're all in there 24/7. Like that's it. That's all that matters. So there is no balance. Is the real secret. Right now we're in a lull, and we're still working every day trying to figure out the next, like building the set, designing, and working through stuff. Like it's so much fun. Like who would want to stop doing this? So there is no balance.
Awesome.
But unfortunately, my wife feels that, and I think I feel her trying to light me on fire through the door over
No
here.
worries, man.
But
I appreciate you stopping in and allowing us to ask you questions and kind of pick your brain and get some, some inside, kind of like some insider information that other people might not have been privy to. So I really appreciate that.
of course, yeah.
Before I let
Come
you go,
on.
though, go ahead. You yelled at me.
No, I missed the best part. You just said some privy information. Gosh, he was a stupid gooning question.
What?
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you coming out here. Yeah, thank you so much.
Max, before you leave, what can we expect from you in the future? Can you give your socials and all that jazz to everybody and all that cool stuff? Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy. You guys can follow the weird shit I posted on Instagram. It's just Max_Lagarde. Pretty simple. But yeah, no, you're going to be, unfortunately, I am a permanent fixture of Fishtank. I'm not going anywhere. So you guys will be seeing my work in the future. And I look forward to creating some really cool shit for you.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful night, Max. Give your woman some love. Put on the cowboy hat while you do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.